Okay, so this is 12.2 independent and dependent variables in tables and graphs as your standard. And your objective is to be able to identify the independent quantities from tables and graphs, again with an 8% accuracy given the practice problems. We have two vocabulary words. So dependent variable, which is basically your output or your represented in your y-axis, is basically the quantity that depends on the other quantity. So it's the variable that depends on the value of the input. Okay, so you always need to remember that the y value is going to depend on the x value. Okay, independent variable is basically your input or your x value in this graph on your x-axis, and so that one is the one that determines the value of the output. Okay, again, if you remember, x comes before the y. The x is the mommy, the y is the baby, the x is going to be the independent, the y is going to be the dependent. Okay, so we have a table here that we need to figure out the information that is given to us, and then I'm going to graph it for you, and then we'll do another one with the table. So in this case, we have the time work in hours, and then the money earning in pesos. Okay, I know that that's not correct in the terms of how much money they earn, but just to get something different instead of dollars, I wrote that. Okay, so think about this. Does the money that you earn is going to depend on the time that you work, or does the time depend on the money? Okay, so time keeps on going. Time doesn't stop, so that's not gonna be dependent. Like if we have more money, we're gonna have more time. No, time just moves on. So time is your independence, so that's what we call that x. And then money is going to be dependent on how much you work. So that's going to be my y. Okay. So the hours that I work are going to determine how much money I earn. So we have 1 hour, 20 pesos, 2 hours, 40 pesos, 3 hours, 60 pesos, and 7 hours, 140 pesos. Okay. So the question is, what quantities are we measuring? Okay. We're measuring time, right? And we're using hours for time. And we're also measuring the money earned. Okay, and we're measuring that with pesos. Okay, and then which one is my dependent variable? My dependent variable is going to be the money earned. Okay, and remember that's my y. And what's my independent variable? Is going to be the time worked. Okay, now let's find the relationship. How are these two related? How do I go from every x to my y? So there has to be a pattern there that I find. Okay, what am I doing to the x to get to y? Okay, sometimes it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. In this case, I am multiplying by 20. So the money that I earn is my y. Okay, and that's gonna be equal to how much money I earn per hour. Okay, so how much money am I earning per hour? $20, well, pesos. And then how am I measuring time? With hours. Okay, so my hours is measuring x was 20x. Remember, we don't do the dot anymore, or the x for times. It's just 20x. So this can be my relationship. Okay, so 20 times x. If you want to do that, just to know that there's multiplication. And then what's the equation? The equation is going to be y equals 20x, and that's my equation for that relationship right here. Okay, let me go ahead and give you one to do, and you're going to figure this out on your own. Okay, so what are the quantities measured in this scenario? Which one is your dependent variable? Which one is your independent variable? And what's the relationship? So think about, how am I going from this to this? Okay, am I adding to the x to give it to here? Am I dividing to the x to get here? Am I multiplying times something to get here? Am I dividing times something to get here? Right, relationship, and then give me the equation. Remember, the equation is going to be y equals something that you do to the x. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back to the other one so we can graph it. So let me go ahead and graph it. So time work is going to be right here. In this case, there's no negative time or money, so I was going to have the first quadrant. So this is my x, this is my y, this is the time worked, this is the money earned. Okay, and I'm gonna say in pesos, and then right here is gonna be in hours, right? Worked. And then I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, And then right here, I have to get to 140, so I'll go by 20s. So Julius. Okay, and so my order pairs are x comma y, so I go 1 comma 20, 2 comma 40, 3 comma 60, and 7 comma 140. And I'm gonna grab, remember I run before I jump, so I'm gonna run 1, jump 20 there. This one's the increments, the scale is by 20, so 1 comma 20, 2 comma 40, 3 comma 60, 7 comma 140, which is all the way up here. Okay, so that will be my graph there. And again, I'm able to go from here to there by multiplying by 20. Let me go ahead and do this one. So this one is the cost of tickets, including the mail, okay, the mailing, the postage. And so I have number of tickets and how much it's costing. And so I have to figure, the first thing I have to figure out is this one is the dependent. Are the tickets going to depend on the cost, or is the cost going to depend on how many tickets I get? The tickets are my x, that's way independent. Depending on how many tickets I get is how much money I'm gonna pay, and the total cost is gonna be my y. Okay, so those are my two quantities there. And let's find the relationship. Now, what am I doing to the x to get it to y? So let's look at that. Is there any multiplication? No, really, because 0 to 5, there's nothing there. Okay. What about dividing? No, because they're getting bigger. What about subtracting? Again, no, because they're getting bigger. So what did I do to 0 to get it to 5? What about adding 5? Would that work? Let's try. Okay. 0 plus 5? 5? Yep. 1 plus 5 equals 6? Yep. 2 plus 5 equals 7? Yep. And then 3 plus 5 equals 8? Yep. So then, what's my total cost represented with y equals what's representing the number of tickets, x, and then what am I doing to it? I'm adding 5. So my equation goes y equals x plus 5. And that's going to find my equation. And you might say, when am I going to use this? So how can I use this? Well, instead of doing this table, you can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take all the 6th graders to this event that is happening, and I'm going to order tickets, right? So there's 22 of you plus me, that's 23. So let's just say that the number of tickets that I need is 23. Instead of going by, adding 5 every time, I can just plug this in here and I can say, okay, say 23 plus 5, I'm gonna pay $28, and that's way easier than going, until I get to 23 over here. Okay, alrighty, let me give you one to do. Okay, so go ahead and find the equation for me for this one right here. Remember, what am I doing to x to get it to y? Alrighty, God bless you. See you.